Talks with the computerized voice, right? So that works obviously as a communication device, but it also works much, much more than that. So in a house like this that has environmental control set up, a Dynabox uses an infrared signal very similar to your remote control at home. Really not a massive difference. The difference here is that that infrared signal allows someone like Toby using a switch like this one right back here, and you'll notice a few individuals use switches on their chairs. And so through a very simple switch, through very, very subtle little head movements, he's able to control things like television, radio, blenders, mixers, grinders, potentially, you guys have probably seen this at Best Buy, things like thermostats, security systems, even doorbells and video doorbells that allow you to tell if somebody's here. Endless possibilities. Dynaboxes do some really great things, and we're actually testing out with iPads at the moment to be able to mimic what Dynaboxes do. And there's a lot of reasons for that we'll kind of get into in the kitchen. So one of our greatest testers is actually hanging out there. So come on in a little bit. Like we said, feel free to take pictures and such. Toby's going to help us out with this one. So just to tell you guys a little bit more about the house, it really takes a village to do what we do every single day. And so we partner with a lot of different organizations, one of which being the CU Engineering Department. CU Engineering students actually come into this house as part of their grade for a project that they're doing. They have to meet each individual and build a customized project just for them. Wow. So these are not generic little things. These are actually very customized for the individual. And generally, it's for a project that induces or helps them along with an independence type of goal. Independence is really one of the driving factors for Imagine as a whole, but certainly this home. And I mean that by, there is, without a doubt, and Toby, we're going to talk about you a little bit. Is that okay, buddy? Maybe. Stop me if they don't like it, right? How's that sound? So independence is a massive factor in all that we do throughout Imagine. And by that I mean there are certain aspects that we will always be there to need to support individuals with. I know that I need that. You know, anytime I get my taxes done, I need support on that. And so there's all kinds of little things that people need along the way. But there's so much that individuals are able to do. And that's why when you look at Imagine's mission of creating a world of opportunities for all abilities, that's really what that starts off as. Whether it be very basic types of what we call cause and effect type of related skills, all the way up to things like teeth brushing prompts, cooking assistant prompts, all the way up to what Imagine does, which is supported employment services, where we actually partner with local businesses all throughout Boulder, Longmont, and Broomfield counties to fit people up for a good match with supported employment. All kinds of different tasks. So we're going to cover a lot of information as we go. Please ask a zillion questions. It's a good thing. It's the way to do it. So we're good. Right, Toby? You love questions, right? So a couple CU engineering projects that I was telling you guys about are these guys right over here. Again, CU engineering students came in and built these custom for our individuals. Some of these are very basic cause and effect skills. And by that I mean, when you do A, B happens. It's kind of a fundamental building block for building all skill-based activities off of those type of skills. If you can teach A equals B, you can do things like teeth brushing prompts or supported cooking prompts, all through step-by-step instructions. So start small, work your way off of that. This is a particularly fun project. So this actually came with a Broncos helmet that has a little laser pointer on the side of it. And so with this particular project, when the individual turns on the laser pointer and is able to get it into these cones right here, it'll actually shoot off a customized message that that individual picked. I think Peyton Manning's voice is in that one a couple times. Say, oh, yeah, like, hurry, hurry, something like that, right, Toby? I can remember. Huge Bronco fan, but you'll hear me reference that a few times. So you actually
seeing Toby's picture up there.
Yes,
all the time.
So you guys will see this. We actually use this for a bit of our tours. Some fantastic individuals in this house. And again, one of my favorite things is each and every person that I've ever had the privilege of working with learns in a unique and communicates in a unique and different kind of way. And there are so many individuals that, although need some support in many areas, can thrive in so many others. And so one individual that we're going to talk about, Anthony, in this house, is actually off at work today. He's doing supported employment over at Oscar Blues. It seems like a lot of the local breweries here in Longmont are incredibly supportive of our guys. And that's kind of cool. So, yeah. Another one of the systems, and we're going to show you a bit more of this in the kitchen as well, is what's called our Endeavor system. So as you guys can see, all of the screens, we have a number of these located throughout the house, are adjustable for wheelchair size, because if you can't reach a screen, you can't touch the screen very well. And we have a customized, very similar to like a Facebook type of thing, or an individual profile, which is very important for the individual. So if we were to use, let's say, Anthony as an example, he's able to come over here, click on his name. Now, there are some things that are very important to Anthony that he's really customized, like Facebook, Pirates Cove, Skyping with his family. We're going to show some of the cooking prompts as we get into the kitchen. But one of the systems that he really likes is his email system. Now, he's able to, just like I am, come right in here and navigate through. This is his email inbox, which he's actually kept really clean right now, which is kind of cool. He's able to, through using this app, just like I am, come in, click who he wants to email. Let's say it's, and I'm not going to send it on his behalf, but let's say it's his brother. So he's able to come in. This will, when the sound is turned up, actually record his entire voice, translate into text, and then send as a normal email.
Wow.
That works for internal within Imagine, or it works for external, like his family or yourselves as well. This is really key because someone like Anthony, who may not have necessarily the literacy or the sentence composition kind of skills, still has a desire to stay in touch with people and use technology in a way that's very important to him. And so this allows him, as you can see, it says it's recording the message. I'm going to click done here. It's going to say, do I want to listen to it back? Et cetera, et cetera. Now, if someone replies to him, his family, myself, whatever the case is, with an email, it will actually come out as text, just like for our email, and then it'll convert it into verbal so that he's able to hear it and then respond back with the message. Again, very simple little things that now an individual is able to stay in touch with his family or his friends and be able to communicate with extremely minimal staff supports. And this is really beneficial for the smart home in two ways. One, it fosters the independence that we were talking about. That's great. But also, it frees up staff resources. Right? You love doing stuff for yourself when I'm not around, right? It's a good thing. And so the more that they're able to do individually, the better overall success can be in that way.
I can't imagine how wonderful it is for their family to be able to receive messages.
Exactly. And that's one of the things, obviously, we serve adults with developmental and cognitive disabilities. In addition to them being adults, their parents are obviously also adults. As they get older with age, so do their parents. And so sometimes it can be challenging for family members to stay in contact. Obviously, accessibility can be challenges. There are certain things that are needed with this community to just get out and hit up the community and do all kinds of things like visiting family and holidays and stuff like that. So whether it be Skype, we also have, we're a very Apple-friendly type of house, so we use a lot of FaceTime. Staff members are able to FaceTime into meetings. I'm able to get a video conference going to the house imminently within about 2 minutes for any type of emergency response. Our nursing department also uses it to address critical needs on the spot. Sometimes it's really nice to have a set of eyes on a problem and vice versa. So the ability to video conference, especially for these guys with guardians and family and stuff, is really key to what we have. So yeah, we're going to cover a lot more information, but that's a little bit of the system. And as I was showing you there, that is just Anthony's page. We're going to show a few other individuals as well. Every single person uses our what's called Endeavor system in a unique and different way. You guys will meet Lauren here shortly, but the things that are important to Lauren, as you can tell, is his music, as well as Skyping with his family. And so we were able to customize his page to set him up for success in that way. And he's a very great navigator with it. So I'll show you guys his room later, and he has an abundance of music, as you can tell. So, on top of being a smart home, we definitely use this as a living laboratory for testing out a lot of new equipment. And may I tell you, this is one of the most exciting times in this field that I've ever seen. Because finally now, the Apples, the Googles, the Amazons, they're coming around and they're saying, oh, there's a market for this stuff. There's individuals who can benefit from this. And so all the iPad Generation 2s that are coming out have a lot of accessibility features that are built right into those iPads. If you have one at home, please go into it, check it out. There's all kinds of cool stuff. I have an 11-year-old daughter. I use it with her, what's called like guided navigation, where you can set it on a specific app so that an individual and services can stay focused in doing what they need to be doing or want to be doing without the distraction of a billion different things going on. So they also work pretty well with switches. We're testing out some Bluetooth switches and stuff like that, so that, again, through a very simple, very subtle little head movement, some individuals are learning to navigate the iPad in some really cool ways. One of the amazing ladies that I'm going to show you in the kitchen just discovered Amazon.com. A little bit dangerous, she's getting the online shopping, but it's a really cool and, again, independence building factor for her. So Toby, you mind hanging here for a little bit? We're going to go in the kitchen. Is that all right? Giant smile. Yeah. This guy's always smiling. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, buddy? Let's head this way.
See you later, Toby.
So one of the systems that we use is called CuraTech. This is actually a fantastic system. There are essentially very similar to hospital type of setups, little call buttons in each bathroom, bedroom, and throughout the house, so that no matter what is going on at any one time, If an individual needs some assistance, they're able to get a hold of a staff member. It is a large house. We serve 6 individuals, obviously, and so it could even be 3 a.m. on the other side of the house. If an individual needs to get some assistance, they're able to do that by pressing the button. This will, and if you want to watch the screen, let me demonstrate it here real fast for you. So this is an example of the call button that was just pushed in that particular bathroom. So that alerts staff, and this will continue ringing over and over and over and over again until it's acknowledged. So obviously, from a staff member's perspective and an individual, they're able to get the services that they need, which is important. I'm able to come in here, acknowledge the alarm as a staff member, choose my name, so I'm able to track this data, and then I'm able to come in, who is it that I'm working with? Let's say it's Toby again. Toby, I'm going to use you as an example, buddy. So you come over here to Toby's name, you click on him. What is it that you're doing? Is it a house chore? Is it direct care support? Is it more of an administrative task? Or is it medical or day program based? You're able to then input that data, and from a manager's perspective, from my perspective, the accountability is priceless. So obviously, not that we've seen this in this house or really throughout Imagine, but there is, in this particular community, a history of less than accountable supports, especially on things like overnight shifts, when there's only one staff member here. And so from my perspective, I'm potentially, as the system gets set up properly, able to go in and look at things of like timely responses. And we actually have little sensors on each person's door that can actually, it's called a threshold alarm, if you ever heard of that. It'll actually track if there's movement or if anybody breaks that door threshold. Can I guarantee that? Exactly, yeah. So I know that they're in the room. We're also using some new beacon sensors that use proximity for the iPad. So a staff member actually has to go in and be within about 2 to 3 feet of the individual to make sure that they're actually responding to needs as they say that they are. Again, accountability is key in all that we do because anything less would just be uncivilized. So it's a big part of it. Additionally, we do use our iPad. We use a calendar feature that allows us to sync up across the board with all of our staff's phones, as well as our nursing department. So if a nurse needs to find out, hey, when does someone have a doctor's appointment? Or when is their IP date? Or when do they have anything else like that going on? We're able to use a shared calendar feature for all of our house across the board, as well as a shared email feature, which allows us to communicate almost in real time and across large swaths of places. We also use what's called a med support system, which is very important. And so this is a color coding of our meds that allows staff to be able to clock off meds. So I could literally be on the other side of the world and I could find out if Toby received his multivitamin today. He doesn't take a multivitamin, just using that as an example. We all should anyway. So, and so the ability to track that in real time, specifically with our nurses, and be able to provide some of that data to them as well as their case managers can be really critical, especially during some of those challenging times. Any questions so far? I've covered a lot.
Amazing.
It's kind of cool. But, thank you, Toby. It's a fan, buddy. He's excited.
I'm taking
He's a
notes,
good
by
guy.
the way. Contingent texting.
Another piece of technology you guys will see, you're probably familiar with Bluetooth speakers. Pretty similar. We've got it synced up to our iPad right now. So you can see me controlling the different volumes there. I've got it turned down pretty low there. Hey, Steve. How's lunch, right? Hey, mind if we pop back there with you in a little bit? Yeah. All right, sounds like fun. So our JBL speaker is very unique in and of itself. This is one of the newer models. So obviously it works as a Bluetooth speaker, similar to what we probably have in our homes, but it also uses facial recognition software in the back. So instead of, again, a simple thing like staff having to change music to, say country music or something like that for Toby, it's able to potentially, as we get it set up properly, be able to read a face and actually change the color scheme and or music to go with it.
Wow.
Music, artwork, things like that, these are universal languages that Imagine lives in. Many people communicate through these kinds of systems. And so again, the ability to control their environment independently with minimal supports offers them not just the pride factor of being able to do things like that, but also frees up additional resources for Imagine to invest back into services with individuals. So, kind of cool. We like our slow, chill kind of stuff. So. Any questions so far? All right. I'm going to head over towards the kitchen just a little bit. Again, this is another CU project. Relatively straightforward. It teaches some fine motor skills as well as color recognition. So individuals are able to come through, use different kinds of features to control this in unique kinds of ways. Again, very A equals B, but these are the fundamental building blocks for building additional goals off of that. Speaking of which, I'm going to show you just a couple of those over here. So, this is another one of our Endeavor systems. Again, fully mobile, so that individuals can move it to whatever their wheelchair height or desire is. And again, I'm going to use someone like Anthony as an example. he is able to come in here, and he has pre-programmed a number of his own cooking prompts. And so, if you scroll over one, you can come into his cooking section, and you've got a number of his favorite dishes. Now we're starting to take this to multi-step processes. Someone like Anthony may already have the fundamentals down, so he's able to come in here, and he wanted to learn in one of his IP years on how to make bacon. And so, if you click on it, it thinks about it for a moment.
They're all my favorite foods too.
Right?
Bacon.
And so this will walk you, and I won't take you through each and every step, but this will take you step-by-step instructions on how to make bacon.
Bacon, crispy and browned. Bacon goes great with lots of breakfast foods, and it's so easy.
So again, I won't take you step-by-step through it, but as you can see, just
Step
like
one.
I'm Anthony or another
Put the
individual who's
pan
able to
on the
navigate
stove.
through this relatively independently and use minimal supports
Use
while
the
cooking
fork
something like
to
bacon
place 4
or different
strips
kinds of
of
things
bacon
like that.
in the
So,
pan.
again, bacon is great, but we won't spend an abundance of time on it. So. Nice. And as you can see, he's able to customize it for a number of different things. And different individuals obviously have different tastes. And so they not just cook differently, but they interact with prompts and different systems in different and unique ways. And that's what I love about Endeavor more than anything, is the ability to customize it based on the individual. So,
All have such individual needs.
exactly, yeah. So we're gonna head into the kitchen now, and Miss Shelley is actually just getting her iPad up and ready, so we're gonna bug her a little later. But one of the things, if you guys can see just over this top here, is what's called a convection stove. And it's a stove top that does cooking, very similar to like any kind of range oven or anything like that. But we have certain pots and pans that are made of a certain metallic material that can only be heated by that. And so you can move that off to the side, put your hand on it, and it will not burn you.
So it's induction.
Sorry, induction, yes. And so obviously, from a health and safety kind of perspective, that's fantastic. We need to squeeze by, friend? Ladies first, after you. You got it. You don't have to use the horn. Yes, nice, that's good. Oh, nice, good. All right, keep it up for us there.
It should say go Rocky.
Right? As you can tell, abundance of Broncos fans. It's a few Seahawks fans, but I'm trying to scream for that better. So who? Instead of a few Seahawk fans.
What? That wasn't as part of the pre-deployment screening?
You know, we try. It's a try. One of the systems that I'm going to show you guys, again, is a bigger version of what you're seeing on the back of individuals' chairs. This is a relatively straightforward type of what's called a simple switch. It's simple because when you press it, it does things. Relatively simple. However, when connected with a power link device, that's what makes the magic start to happen, which allows a button control to be able to be utilized for blenders, mixers, grinders, all kinds of stuff, minus microwaves, possibly too much wattage. I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But if you want to kind of steal for a second? Can you press the button? So we've got it connected.
taking notes.
Oh no, you're fine. So we've got it connected to a coffee grinder at the moment. So if she presses the button like that, it then does that.
Wow, very
Relatively straightforward, but for someone who may not have the same fine motor skills as you or I, this can make the difference between being able to grind and pour their own coffee and not being able to do so. Again, great independence factor, also frees up staff time to be able to make more bacon. So kind of good. The PowerLink does work on a timed setting as well as a direct push. So this one was a direct push, as you saw. When she released, it stopped. But you can actually set that for, let's say, a blending bowl. If you're going to be blending and making some cookie dough or something, you can actually set that for a 30-second, 60-second kind of timer. Again, so individuals are able to do that in a very unique kind of way. Another nice feature is as individuals use surfaces for cooking or for like prepping food, tossing salad, all that kind of stuff, we do have the ability to go up and down based on wheelchair height. There is a nice sensor right below this that ensures no one is ever trapped or like crushed down by one. But it's, again, a very nice, simple feature that allows them to take a more active role in their environment. I don't know about your house, but one thing that's expected in our house is that individuals always do their own dishes and put their dishes away. And so again, the ability for them to be able to do the same kind of thing with the sink is very good. Now you have individuals taking their own responsibility, tidying up after themselves, doing dishes, when maybe in a traditional type of setting, that isn't always possible. And that really is the dream of the smart homes with Imagine. This is approximately, about just a little bit over $1 million type of house. This is not plausible for every kind of service agency. That's why we work as a living laboratory to test out a lot of this new stuff with the end goal of rolling it out into our community settings, things like host homes, companion models, all kinds of things. Imagine serves thousands of individuals across Boulder and Broomfield counties, and obviously this is only a 6-bedroom house that can only be used for some individuals. But they get to test out that technology with the end goal of really serving a much wider audience, not just within Imagine, but across the world. We get tours from all over the place, service providers here in the US as well as internationally, to come in and see some of the methods and the strategies that we're using to really enhance people's lives, not just in the home setting, but out in the communities as well.
I can't imagine the feeling of accomplishment they must have just to be able to do some of these basic things for themselves.
Exactly.
You're setting them up for success.
Exactly. Shelley, can I chat about you for just a millisecond? Is that
Like
okay?
all your bracelets. She's got lots of bling on.
Just a little bit about your story. So she's going to show us some of her iPad stuff later. But Shelley is an amazing story about this. Shelley, just a couple years ago, actually gave the opening speech to the Dairy Center for the Arts Show down in Boulder, which was fantastic for her. She is one of our greatest Dynavox users. She's actually got, I believe, over 300 different sayings pre-programmed into her Dynavox for her to be able to use out in the communities, in day program types of settings, as well here at the house. So again, it gives her a voice for those that want to be a voice. She just recently joined our Imagine Advocacy Council because she is such a wonderful self-advocate. She actually has a desire to advocate for others in this community as well. So, yeah. We're going to tell a little bit more of Shelley's story as we go back into her room, which is where we're going to be heading next. So, any questions? All right. Cover a lot of info all at once. Yeah, we're going to head right over this way. That is correct, yes. And it can be a little confusing. So our sister house down in Boulder is called the Bob and Judy Charles Smart Home. This is the Charles family Smart Home. So it was actually a family, the family that actually came together. And as you can tell, bluntly speaking, for us to do what we do every day, it takes a village. And there are so many moving parts to this, not just from an administrative level, but also the community support, the funding streams, the case management. The list can go on and on. And so there are so many people that came and really rallied alongside us to make this dream possible for not just these individuals, but really this whole community as a whole. Yeah. So as you can see, the laundry room, relatively straightforward. A lot of what we talk about with smart home technology is a term that you may hear it kicked around a little bit, which is called smart supports. This is using common sense types of things, like individuals that want to be able to do laundry independently and stuff like that. They require some supports, but they're able to do so many things independently. And so from a washer and dryer perspective, we actually have a loaner dryer at the moment, that's not our original, but they are front controlling and front loading so that individuals can actually get their laundry into there, be able to use the control settings, and do what they need to do. CU just recently actually built an amazing project. It's a very, it's an adaptive laundry basket that actually locks and fits perfectly into one individual's chair so that he's able to navigate the corners, get it into the room, be able to load, unload in a way that really works for him because it was built with him in mind. So we'll show that just a little bit this way. So as we head back, Leona Stacker, who's the ex-mayor of Longmont, always likes me to tell you, all of the artwork in this house is actually done by individuals with Imagine. And there is so much beautiful, again, art, music, kind of the universal languages for a lot of us here. So, another feature that you may notice in the back of this house is there is not a single light on at the moment.
Oh, we got solar tubes.
We have the solar tubes, yeah, the little tubes that allow for light to come through. You may have also seen the solar panels up on the roof as well. On top of being an assistive technology smart home, we also want to work in an efficient and responsible type of manner. And so by saving ridiculous amounts on our utilities through a lot of these features, again, Imagine is able to reinvest that money back into individuals and direct care types of services. Smaller room, but I'm going to have you guys squeeze into Toby's room here. Real cool experience. As you'll notice as we kind of go through some of the rooms, each and every individual has their own personal flair.
Like the Broncos.
One of the big things to keep in mind is, although this is a group home type of setting technically, this is first and foremost their house. This is their house for life, short of a very, unique type of medical, problem that may occur in the future where we couldn't meet that need. This is their house for life. And because of that, we do have some stringent requirements on, individuals coming into the house. One of the requirements is that individuals do want to participate and would benefit in some manner from assistive technology. If you're the type of gentleman that says, I hate iPads and I never want to touch one the rest of my life, this just might not be the best taste for you, you know? And so we really try to fine tune that for individuals that want to make that difference. Another one of the pieces of technology that you may have seen out there is called an Accessit. That is what actually reads the infrared signal from Toby's Dynabox that allows him to control it. And it's not just in the common areas either. As you can see, he's got it set up so that he can control his television, VCR, computer, all of that stuff, so that he, again, is able to have control over his surroundings. Shelley uses a very similar type of setup in her room as well. So, one of my favorite little pieces of technology, not so little actually, is what's called a free barrier lift. This actually uses a sling device that comes underneath the individual and will help transfer from bed to shower chair to wheelchair, whatever kind of transfer needs that they need. And it's fantastic. Obviously, from an individual perspective, it is much safer for them to be able to be transferred in this manner. From a staffing perspective, one of the leading causes of issues for staff are lower back injuries. You can't continue to repetitively lift people over and over and over and not expect some types of issues with your back. And so this really is a lifesaver. You'll notice a lot of these tracks throughout the house. We also have one in the bathroom so that individuals, if they want to get into the bathtub, all kinds of different stuff. Fantastic piece of technology. I've even seen some great tracks at some other service providers that will actually track out all the way through the hallway down to the bathroom to eliminate one entire transfer together. Well, it's all the little stuff that we do that really makes a big difference. You look at some of the regional centers down in southern Colorado and such, they maintain some massive ratios, things like one staff member to 8 to 10 kind of individuals. We maintain a strict 1 to 2 ratio here, which allows us to work on these, what we call ISSPs, or Individualized Service and Support Plans. This allows us to really fine-tune this with individuals, and not just meet the basic care needs, but really build a life that thrives for these individuals. And that's what this special place is very much about. Any questions on this? No? We love these. They're our friends. So, yes. You'll also notice all the window shades do go up and down. This is programmable through their Dynaboxes as well. So again, one other unique aspect that individuals are able to control on their own. Hey, Space. We're going to head over that way. We're going to Shelley's room first. You want to show us your room a little bit, friend? Yeah. All right, you head that way. We'll meet you there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We like to have a lot of fun in this house. So additionally, just like in the front, a number of these stations, these Curatech stations, are located throughout the house. So again, it really does not matter where an individual is. If they need any type of assistance, they're able to get a hold of us in a timely manner. So we're going to hop into Shelley's room, and she always gives us permission to do this, just so you know, because we like to share a little bit about her story. Shelley, as you can tell from her room, has a, for lack of a better word, flamboyant personality. She is an amazing person. She's an artist. But she also comes with an amazing story. So she actually joined us originally from one of those regional centers down south that I was telling you about. And she is a very unique individual in that cognitively, she is 100% there. She likes to be talked to like an adult. One of her goals is to go back to college and to finish and graduate. One of her goals is to do things like advocacy council and be able to give speeches for the Dairy Center for the Arts. When she came to us from this regional type of center with those large ratios that we were talking about, she had a number of very challenging behaviors that were associated with it. She did not have a Dynabox or any type of communication device at that time, nor did staff at that center really understand the training components associated with her communication style. She's a very unique individual, but ridiculously intelligent. And so we were seeing all kinds of challenges based on that. She came into services with Imagine and eventually into the SmartHome. She got set up with a Dynabox, and she is one of our best Dynabox users. She's able to use what's called linear scanning and a very simple switch on her head to be able to navigate and use very, very specific sentence structures and build sentences to be able to articulate herself like never before. Obviously, imagine being essentially trapped in a body that wasn't working, but wanting to communicate with your world. Obviously, you've seen now that she is, again, one of our greatest advocates and is doing an amazing job advocating and communicating for herself. And obviously you can see how that would drop behaviors down ridiculously. Short of running over her foot, she's going to have a great day. She doesn't tend to get too upset on most stuff. She also does have a ton of personality. She just recently, a couple years ago, went indoor skydiving. Wow. She likes to go to the casinos. She's looking at a Hawaii vacation, which we're still trying to figure out as well. But she is now living a life that even 5-6 years ago would have been unimaginable by any service provider, certainly in the state, but elsewhere as well.
And how old is she, do you know?
She is just a little bit over 40, actually. Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah,
a whole long life of not being able to communicate very well, and now
Right.
opens up this whole world for her.
exactly. And on top of opening up that world, she's now advocating for others to have those same kind of services as well.
Right.
Not just with Imagine, but as this community as a whole. And so it's not just them making their own lives better. They really are taking this to a whole new level for a lot of what we do. Sometimes that involves assistive technology. Sometimes it doesn't. And so, again, smart supports.
Individual.
Yeah, very much, very, very much there. So, additionally, just a couple other things about Shelley. As you can tell, a fantastic artist. She also has an Accessit here, so she's able to control her television, radio. This is her Dynavox here. She's actually not using it at the moment because she is using her iPad to do some navigation. So, doesn't tend to work too well in tandem. One of our favorite things that we're really testing out now, as we speak, really over the last 3 months and beyond now, is iPad technology when it comes to communication software. And by that I mean, this is a great device. Dynavox has been around for, oh boy, all of 15, almost 20 years in different fashions. Generally speaking, they tend to cost about $7,500 to $8,000. Now an iPad costs you about $400 or $500, give or take. The software to be able to turn it into a Dynavox type of device generally costs about $100, $150. That with a couple switches and using this new technology that literally is just being developed over the last 12 months or so, we can potentially use an iPad in a way that mimics a Dynavox almost to a T. And in some ways, even better. My goal is to put them out of business. Not them specifically, but to just get better communication devices as a whole. So, any questions so far?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Again, you'll see another free barrier lift. These things are fantastic for being able to transfer people back, forth, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, much safer for them, much safer for staff. Work smarter, not harder. So, as you saw with Shelley, she does have a bunch of jewelry. She likes to be able to pick those things out. And again, being able to express herself in ways like never before.
Yeah.
So, very, very cool.
Let her be her.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna head.
You,
Yeah.
Shelley.
Hey, Stace. What you doing, friend? You just hanging out? Yeah. Now I hear. Is it true? So, Stace, can I talk about you just for a second? I won't steal too much of your time. I know. So Stacy's been working on a lot of different skill buildings and some independence factors here in the house. And is it correct? You're now going to be using some of those. You just got set up with a job. Is this right? Are you excited about that? Yeah. Where are you going to be working at? I know, right? Yeah, you're gonna wear goggles there. Yeah, and so yeah. General Electric is actually hiring Stacy to do some of her pre-packaging and some unique things. I know, I'm excited for you. It's been a long time coming. She's actually worked on a lot of this. Yes, ma'am. You don't know when you're starting? Pretty soon. I hear it's to be about 2 weeks out. You've been doing the testing, right? So we do kind of field test this ahead of time to ensure that it is a good fit for an individual. You know, if you have someone who is working in a kitchen type of setting, but allergic to a bunch of things, obviously not the best match type of thing. So it's been a long time coming, but one thing that Imagine does great is supported employment throughout. Yes, ma'am. You are an artist. You're also a musician, is that right? Yeah. Can I tell them a little bit about that? So Stacy is kind of a social butterfly, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so she is very active in her community. She does play in a band every Sunday, and she's able to share that sometimes with her mom, sometimes other community members. But she is a very active person. She also has worked a number of summer lunch programs, right? Where she'll actually hand out food and milk to children to be able to give back to the community. And that's really, I believe, where the magic starts to happen. It's not just individuals being served. It's about them being able to serve their community too, and becoming really, truly contributing members of society as a whole. And so that's where the magic kind of happens, and Stacy has been kicking some butt on that for us, haven't you? So we won't spend too much time, but I did want to show you the bathrooms. Again, not so much assistive technology, but you'll see things like wider doorways, nice big wide open spaces, all kinds of stuff. We won't squeeze you guys in here too much, but relatively straightforward when it comes to nice big wide open spaces, areas that they can use. And for
Feel
people,
right in.
exactly, yeah. So grab bars, very simple kinds of things, but very important as well. So,
So we can use it.
and so this is one of our examples of our push button as well.
Yeah.
Very similar to a hospital. So.
Yeah.
Any questions? All right, let's head this way.
Okay, we'll follow you.
Stace, we'll see you later, okay, friend?
Bye, Stacy. How many bathrooms are in this house?
So we've got 3 total. Generally 2 are used by individuals primarily. And so it kind of breaks that out in that manner. It tends to be enough space. Really a great setup. We actually use 2 different lots here for this particular
Yeah,
house.
I thought when we pulled up, I thought it was a duplex.
Yeah,
That's just the
exactly.
way it's lined
It
up.
would seem that way, right? So one of the things I really like to share, I told you a little bit about Anthony, one of the biggest advocates for independence here in this house. Really cool individual, goes to work, advocates for himself really well, and he likes his own space too. He's a very friendly guy. But along with being independent, Anthony also really likes to take really good care of his mini fridge, which he keeps in his room. His mini fridge. Now, he'll keep things like sometimes beer, sometimes candy, soda, all kinds of things. The point is, it's his room, he gets to do what he likes. One of the things that he ran into about 7 months ago is, on top of him absolutely loving his mini fridge, one of his other housemates also loved his mini fridge, which he didn't like so much. And so what we did with Anthony was we were able to set up a traditional kind of lock. He said, I want a lock on my door. Okay, that works. It's your door, we can totally do that. Got him set up with a traditional kind of lock and key. Now, due to some fine motor concerns, it was challenging for him to be able to put the key in. Sorry, one second. Good afternoon, Lauren. Thanks for being so sweet to me, buddy. Cool guy. That's it. About it. So Anthony was using a traditional kind of key, having to turn the key, turn the lock, open the door. And for his mobility, that was a big challenge. And so we went onto Amazon. We did a lot of different research through some of our assistive technology department. And we were able to find a very, very cool device that allows him to come right up, put his finger right on it, and it'll unlock the door for him. And then with, again, some magnets and such on the back, it's able to pop open, and it'll stay open for him to be able to go in, out. Still leaving his room secure, but being able to access it on his own without issues, without needing a key to be lost, etc., etc. And so if we want to pop into his room a little bit, again, a very simple, mainstream type of piece of technology that made a big difference to one individual. And as we had talked about a little bit, the mini fridge, as I was telling you, Anthony's a great independence advocate for himself as well. He is, as you guys can see right behind you, he has a Wii, which does help work on some of the fine motor skill and different kinds of things like that. Anybody familiar with Wii?
Yeah.
Yeah, relatively. Has anyone ever heard of an Xbox Connect? Xbox uses your body as the control. There's no controller associated with it. It'll actually read your body motions. Now, this is produced by Microsoft, and the reason that I'm excited about this is just in the last 7 months, they have redone their software and done some upgrades and updates on it to allow them to be able to read wheelchair users like never before. Now, Xbox, Microsoft as a whole, uses some great like yoga type of programs, some what we call physical therapy or range of motion programs, which will walk individuals through very specific types of stretches and range of motion exercises without having a staff member have to be there doing it right alongside them. Again, independence factor, uses some assistive technology, and frees up staff resources to be able to serve in other ways. It's about working smarter and not so much harder. Xbox Connect through Microsoft is actually making great strides in this. A lot of individuals, a lot of ourselves use these every day, and now Microsoft, again, is being able to see, okay, there is a market for this. There's a whole community that can benefit, and in their case, pay for this service, and be able to really benefit individuals on that kind of level. So I'm excited about Xbox Connect. We're going to be in the process of hopefully testing some of those out. Come around to later 2017. So.
Is Anthony in a wheelchair?
Yes, yes. So everyone in this
No,
house.
that's not hooked up. He's able to get in and out by himself.
Exactly. So that does not have a box on it, but those are easily transferable. So he uses what's called more of a pivot transfer, where he's able to use most of his weight bearing on himself, which again is great for staff. But again, if an individual is able to do something, they should be doing something. I always say this is not the Holiday Inn. We don't do that. It's and so prompting individuals to take as much responsibility as possible is good. Certainly in the past, in institutionalized types of settings, there's a term called learned helplessness, which says if I do something for you over and over and over again, eventually, why would you do it for yourself? And so we really steer clear of that, and it works with individuals to be the best that we can be. Any other questions? Yeah?
Do they have to clean their own room when cleaning?
A lot of times, yes. Generally, so each individual in this house has what's called a primary residential counselor that is kind of responsible for helping them set doctor's appointments, cleaning certain areas, making sure their health and safety is met. Obviously, some individuals are able to do some tasks better than others, but we partner with them step by step to make sure that, one, everything is met and done the way it's supposed to, but also that they're doing the best that they can. And there's some great assistive tools out there that allow us to do that. Sometimes it's as simple as something like this that we're able to take and put on, you know, a type of like sweeping at the ends, right? There's some individuals who are going to chase you on that one. So, but it's taking a lot of what we get to do every day is take simple technology that has either been out there for a long time or is just coming out, and we kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of hack it a little bit and turn it into something it's not always intended for. So you guys may have heard some of the, like Alexa, some of the voice controlled app. We were working on some of that technology. One of our newest CU projects that was actually just delivered last week is a new Alexa that is actually using an individual like Shelley to be able to pre-program very specific noises, very vocalizations that she's able to make, which will then control more of her environment in ways like never before. Very cool. So she's able to look up a calendar based on very, very unique vocalizations that are made just and only by her. Wouldn't work for me.
Would that be something that they work with each individual, or would it be?
So not necessarily. So yes, that in theory that could work with each individual, but this is actually pre-programmed for Shelley's specific vocalizations that she makes. But yes, so some individuals are able to use some software like that. Others tend to thrive more in a button capacity using something like that. But again, the wide range of services that we can do just through that alone is really, really wide on that side. Great example of that is both Shelley and Toby use Dynavoxes, but they use them in very different ways. Toby actually, although he has a screen that does the linear scanning on the Dynavox, just like Shelley, he actually has a little speaker embedded into the headrest of his wheelchair that is constantly sending off verbal prompts for him. Oh, this, if you want to select this, press the button now if you want to do this. Because he is not a visual scanner. The screen is there for him, but he doesn't tend to look at it and doesn't follow that with his eyes. Whereas in Shelley, it's totally a visual scanner, and she's able to use the Dynavox in that way. So he is what's called an auditory scanner. Shelley is considered a visual scanner. So same technology, but customized for different individuals. Cool. Good questions.
Yeah, because all of us have different ways we access information. Some people are visual, some are auditory, some are kinesthetic.
Exactly.
And so just honor that for them.
And as you work with individuals on the spectrum or Down syndrome, etc., we all learn in those different ways. One of the more unique things that Imagine is doing, and we just had a new house open up about a year and a half ago, I believe, the Santa Fe house down in Broomfield County. This is unique in the way that it kind of serves more memory care in a way. And so through this house, it's really unique that we have individuals that are getting up there in age, but also have developmental disabilities, things like autism, Down syndrome. Now, this is a unique time for Imagine and other service providers because, simply put, individuals with developmental disabilities, just like the rest of us, are simply living longer. And so now we are starting to see the association of what are some of the factors, what does it look like when an individual has autism as well as Alzheimer's or dementia as well as Down syndrome. These are things that, simply put, we didn't really see very much of even up to 50 years ago. Yeah. So we're really kind of working on the cutting edge of this and looking at services, working with our behavioral specialists and our all kinds of different case managers that really help us along this process because we're all kind of learning together as it goes. Interesting times, that's for sure.
A lot of that technology would probably be good just for people without developmental disabilities, but with Alzheimer's or dementia.
So true, and that's why I absolutely love my job. This really is like the adult version of Willy Wonka's chocolate. I love that side.
Well, quite honestly, a lot of this technology can be used for just creating independence for just anybody. As the baby boomers age, to be able to maintain. I live alone. I'd like to continue to do that until I don't want anybody coming to tell me you can't take care of yourself anymore. With technology like this, I'll be able to extend that out a long, long time.
And it's all the little things that you do along the way, the things that we're working on a lot of what's called remote monitoring, where you're actually able to coordinate with your nurse, your doctor sometimes, et cetera, to be able to meet needs and keep you right in the location that you want with minimal supports. Some things we're going to need. Other things we can continue to thrive in. So it's important that we kind of walk that fine line, that we never push towards that learned helplessness, but that also we're there to meet individuals' needs. Not just the bare minimum, but to really thrive in their lives.
But to be connected, to
Exactly.
always be connected.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the loved one who's watching you is down the street or across the country.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
That's right. Very cool. So I'll show you guys one more room and then we'll head back out into the common area. So. Lauren, is it okay if we come in? Is that a yes? Okay, thanks. How's it going? Do you mind if I introduce you to some friends, friend? Yeah? Do you want to turn around for us? So this is Mr. Lauren. And
Hi,
Lauren,
Lauren.
is it okay if I tell him a little bit about you? Is that a yes? Oh, great, buddy, thanks. So Lauren is a super cool guy. Two very, very important things to him. One, his music, and two, his mother. Obviously, you can tell she helped design this room just a little bit. And so, a couple things that he's got pre-programmed. He uses our Endeavor system as well, very, very well. Let me turn the screen on there for you, buddy. And so, through this screen, Lauren, would you mind playing us a song on Endeavor for us, buddy? Let me get you set up here, okay? 1 sec. And Endeavor is created by AbleLink. If you've ever heard of that company, go ahead and check out their website. They are constantly coming out with a lot of very cool assistive technology tools. AbleLink is the name of the company that does it. So, Lauren, would you like to select some music for us? As he's doing that, as you can see, he's got a number of different CDs here. Music is a big part of his life. And so, instead of having to deal with a CD player, all kinds of different things like that, we were able to download his favorite music on there for him, and so that he was able to play it and be able to access that. Thanks, Lauren. Get your volume turned up then? Might help if I turn that on.
I just can't wait.
The Lion King one? Oh. I love that song. I just can't wait to be king. That is very cool, sir. Well, Lauren, we won't steal too much more of your time, but again, he is able to access this through any interface throughout the house. So any screen that he goes to, all of his favorite music is on there. We've got him set up with one of his goals as using Bluetooth headphones. So whether he goes out to the park and uses the iPad, anywhere in the house, he's not tied to a specific computer. He's not tied to just a specific screen. He's able to use music, which is really his love language in a way, anywhere that he goes, just like we do through Pandora, Spotify, etc. So very cool technology that we're able to kind of hack. So thanks for showing us your room, Lauren. High five, buddy. Nice. All right. Peace out, sir. We'll get you on the flip side. All right.
Bye, Lauren. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, there's actually one that's right down the road here. Longmont's great about having a lot of trails and stuff as well, which is really, really fun. So, I mean, Longmont, I think we're kind of biased, obviously, but it is a great community to be in because of all the accessibility that is here. And so whether it be trails or community settings, fairs and festivals, a very, very inviting kind of community, both in Boulder and Broomfield counties. So we'll kind of head back towards the common area and answer some more questions. Question. And Fred, you might have been on this a little bit for the original, but we did have, obviously a construction firm come in. This design was really made on purpose for this community. Right. One of the benefits of being the smart home and designing it in such a way, everything from the wider doorways, the larger bathrooms, really keeping this community in mind for them to be able to access as much of it as possible and really live to the full. So yes, we used different general contractors.
DEH Architects.
What was that
a
name?
Local firm. Peter Heinz runs it. Really were incredibly supportive of us with what we were doing and really helped give us insight as to what would make it work.
Well, it feels so nice and open. It's got architectural interest. You've got ambient lighting and there's windows.
They're involved with 3 of our homes. This one, the Bob and Judy Charles Smart Home in Boulder, and the one Chris mentioned earlier, our Santa Fe group.
There's a similar feel.
Yeah, yes, very much. But we learned this one, the halls are wider than the home in Boulder for the very reason that that's something that we learned with the first home in Boulder. Even though we thought we'd made it right.
You definitely learn things as you go, and that's kind of the benefit of being a living laboratory. We have found some wonderful tools and pieces of technology that work for individuals. We've also learned a lot of things that don't work. One of the newer things that we're actually testing out at the moment is Fitbits. I'm guessing pretty much everyone's familiar with those. Tracks your movement, some of your sleep stuff. Well, that's fantastic for all of us but also for individuals with developmental disabilities, especially individuals that have maybe some behavioral concerns and outbursts that go with that. Sometimes a lot of movement can be associated with that. They're jumping, they're moving, they're on the move on those things. And Fitbits will actually track that data. So for an individual here in this house that was testing that out, we were able to find a trend after about 3 months worth of data showing every single Thursday at about 12 to 12:30, this person got really upset, really excited, and there was a huge peak in their activity. Unique, right? We went back to their day program. We're going to be able to say, okay, well, what's going on Thursdays? She was in a bowling class with some newer staff. Okay, maybe does the staff need some additional training? No, it turns out she actually just hated bowling. She just didn't like bowling at all. Got into a cooking class, and now we're seeing great benefits from stuff. Very basic kind of data. Obviously from the sleep tracking, which again, it's not perfect. Fitbit and Garmin and some of those are still figuring that out. It's able to track relatively accurately how long they're sleeping, when they go to sleep, what time they wake up, how much restlessness they have, how much movement are we seeing during that, as well as any awake periods. Short of me paying a staff member to kind of hover at the end of their bed, which one would be expensive and two, kind of creepy, actually. Not good things. Short of doing that, you get fantastic data. And so for us, that's important, sure. But when an individual is on a sleep medication, sometimes tweaking those dosages can be very, very challenging for a doctor because they don't always have the best data. And so we're able to take these Fitbit reports in now, show them their data over the course of months, sometimes even years potentially, and be able to give them much better data than ever before. All through a piece of technology that really wasn't intended for that, but now is making a difference in someone's lives. It's an exciting time.
With Fitbit, or are you just utilizing the technology?
We're just kind of hacking their technology at the moment. There is some customization that they do allow within that, and so I have poked out to their tech department, asked some questions. We do the same thing with Apple and some others as well when we kind of run into a question or a problem.
Do you find good cooperation from big companies like that?
Sometimes we do, yes. You know, I think that there's definitely
They need to learn there's a market for it.
exactly, yeah. You know, there's an understanding that one, this has the potential to really benefit people's lives, and two, this looks great for them as well. And so those kinds of partnerships, whether it be CU or Denver, DU down in Denver area, as well as so many others that we work with, it takes a village approach, and so many people kind of jump on board with that, and it's getting exciting.
But again, when you're working with those big companies, it's not just to appeal to them because you can help this small segment of the population. A lot of this technology, like I said, can go out to helping all kinds of folks.
It really can.
I mean, Alzheimer's, but just simply aging, which we've got a lot of Americans that are doing that.
Because I think we tend to take those people, because my mother just went through all this, and they do the learned helplessness because they get so much help. Pretty soon they expect you to feed them instead of trying to feed themselves anymore. Sort of that kind of idea.
And catching that early is so critical because a lot of what we do every day.
Service to them.
Exactly. You know, so much of what we do is a use it or lose it kind of skill. And that's why, whether it be in more memory care kind of facilities to Imagine, we push that. Imagine also does a fantastic job of what's called early intervention, identifying children that need those supports very early on in their lives. And when you start those training and support goals and action goals early, you can get fantastic results like never before. So, really exciting.
Well, it gives them a better quality of life from the get-go instead of having to wait till they're 40, like Shelley, to get here and get help and feel more successful.
Yeah, exactly. You could not be more right than this. Yeah. Well, great. Any other questions? Thanks, Toby. We pop you over, buddy. Hang with me? Yeah, towards that.
You guys say goodbye to the Facebook Live.
We enjoyed seeing your house.
You guys are as well.